The mist rose from the dark waters of Loch Ness, as if the lake itself was guarding a secret, and in that silence, the story of a creature born not just of mystery, but of revenge began. They said it was only a myth, a shadow shaped by imagination, yet no one explained why the whispers of the villagers always carried the same fear, the same anger, the same memory of injustice. Long ago, when lords ruled with cruelty, punishing the weak and silencing the poor, a monstrous power was said to awaken beneath the water, waiting for the moment to strike back at those who mocked its silence. Some called it a hoax, some called it a curse, but none could deny the strange disappearances, the trembling accounts of fishermen, and the chilling truth that sometimes legends rise not from fantasy, but from vengeance itself. The history of the Loch Ness monster is more than a tale of shadows on water. It is a story where truth and myth are bound together by centuries of fear and secrecy. The first whispers came from those who lived by the lake, poor villagers whose voices were often crushed by the powerful. They spoke of a beast, massive and unforgiving, emerging when cruelty reached its peak, striking terror into hearts that believed themselves untouchable. When traveling nobles dismissed these voices as foolish stories, they failed to see that every sighting carried the echo of rebellion. Every ripple in the dark water carried the anger of lives stolen and voices erased. What began as an old legend soon grew into a weapon, a haunting reminder that injustice breeds monsters not only in flesh but in memory, and once unleashed, such power does not rest quietly beneath the surface. Through the centuries, the lake became both a mirror of silence and a stage for whispers, its waters reflecting not only the sky above but also the hidden struggles of those forced into shadows. The earliest records spoke of monks who witnessed a strange form rising from the deep, not as a playful creature but as an omen against arrogance, for it appeared whenever rulers turned blind to suffering. Fishermen who vanished without a trace, boats that were swallowed by waves without warning, and chilling roars carried through fog became proof to the villagers that the beast was more than myth. It was justice in disguise. Those who lived in wealth laughed at the tales, declaring them drunken illusions or tricks of light. At every disappearance silenced their laughter until doubt itself grew louder than faith. Each new sighting was dismissed as hoax, but none explained the sudden storms that broke only over the lake or the shattered remains of vessels dragged into depths. Beneath the surface, the people believed a guardian slept, awakened not by chance, but by cruelty, striking down those who thrived on the pain of others. This was not the monster of fairy tales, but the shadow of injustice refusing to stay buried. Even as the modern world arrived with cameras, newspapers, and skeptics who shouted for evidence, the legend only deepened. Photographs surfaced, grainy and unclear, yet powerful enough to stir fear and fascination across continents. Each picture was argued over, called fraud by some and proof by others. But behind every debate stood the silence of the villagers whose ancestors had already warned that this was no hoax. It was a curse born of their suffering. When tourists flocked to the waters hoping to capture fortune from the mystery, the lake reminded them that it was not a spectacle to be owned. Strange echoes recorded, sudden movements beneath sonar scans, and chilling screams heard in the stillest nights all spoke of a power untamed. For those who sought only profit, the monster remained silent, watching, waiting, reminding them that not all treasures come without price. And yet in the darkest corners of these stories lay a twist few dared to believe. The monster was never only an animal, but the memory of injustice given form, a creation born of anger so deep it crossed centuries. What the lords once ignored became the voice of the voiceless, a warning written in waves that even the strongest power could be challenged by the silence they once thought weak. Thus the monster stood not only as myth or hoax, but as a truth more terrifying, that history itself can rise from the water to demand justice. In the end, the story of the Loch Ness monster remains unresolved, balanced between hoax and reality. Yet its power lies not in proof, but in the questions it forces mankind to face. Was it ever about a beast hiding beneath the water? Or was it about the forgotten cries of those who suffered, finally shaping themselves into a force that could not be ignored? The lake still holds its secrets, its surface calm while shadows shift below. But the legend endures because it is more than mystery, it is memory. To dismiss it is to dismiss the pain that created it, and to believe in it is to admit that injustice always leaves a mark deep enough to rise again. Whether monster or myth, Loch Ness tells a story that will not die, because revenge, once born, will always find a way to surface.